General Jaswal, a sand model of this scale, PLA soldiers, artillery, infantry, armor, all undergoing training here. Perhaps they would know every nook and cranny of the areas they came in, whether it's Pangong Tso or Galwan or Hot Springs or Gogra. So in your appreciation, what kind of skills would these soldiers possess now that we face off with them at the LAC?
Of course, whatever is there is on ground, that is expanded on onto a sand model. But let me quote to you an incidents which will explain the whole thing. I was in China and Inner Mongolia, and the DA was General Joshi, the present Northern Army commander. And there they had, like General Dwivedi, a friend of mine, a colleague, they carried out the entire thing. Even there were heavy drops of, your APCs, etc., live firing, tank movement, attack hepters, everything was going on. And my comment to my friend over there was that I think everything is wrong in this particular thing, what they're doing. And I won't name the country. The DA of that country came and told General Joshi, that time a colonel, he told him, he says, if this is the kind of drill that they are doing, the practice, you need not fear an enemy. Let me tell you, from here onwards, I'd like to come on to the practical part of it. What General Dwivedi is saying, the troops have got only theoretical knowledge.
Okay.
They don't have practical experience, the Chinese troops. I even studied the sinews of the Chinese soldier. It is not the same of 62. It is there in my report also after the visit. Now, they would have carried out training which is there required in areas like Galwan or other areas, Depsang Plains, etc., or Pangong Tso area. They actually carry out training on features akin to where they're going to operate. But let me also tell you another thing. I went to Lanchao, and Lanchao, I was being briefed out there. I'm sorry to say that the generals over there who were talking, they were actually talking at tactical level. They were not talking at strategic level. JC level, they were talking. I will call JCV a junior command level or senior command level. So the combat experience is the biggest inadequacy with the Chinese army. Theoretically, they may be okay. General Dwivedi spent more time. You know the Chinese far better than
Shiv, fair enough. That's a point very well made. Yes. Yes, that's a point very well made. Shiv, but this sand model is like 6 cricket fields large. There's an artillery field firing range attached. The Chinese now have light tanks, self-propelled 155 mm howitzers, specifically for high altitude warfare. Could they, Shiv, and you've been doing a lot of reading and talking to your sources, is their game plan? Is their game plan to threaten subsector north, either Siachen, Depsang, Daulat Beg Oldie? Is that the game plan?
You know, the war game very much takes into account all of these scenarios, Gaurav. The Depsang intrusions, the ability to try and cut off Indian patrol, patrol points in the Depsang plains and the Daulat Beg Oldie sector is something that has been, vintage China. We've seen it for over a decade now where they've tried to do it. There has been a major intrusion in 2013 as well. So absolutely, to answer your question, very much part of the war game. You know, this is a very visible facility that we've actually looked at. I understand that there are other facilities in places like Huangyangtan and elsewhere in, further east in China, where there are other, sand models and replicas of a similar kind, perhaps of even greater detail that might actually depict other parts of Ladakh, maybe even south of the Pangong Tso area. So let's make no mistake, Gaurav, China's intentions, which have been demonstrated with this huge mobilization across the friction points, is a much larger game. This is not just tactical action. A far greater training, ethic and mobilization is under test here. And I think the Indian government and the Indian forces are fully aware of that. The generals and Colonel Bhatt that we have on this show are far better at understanding what the tactical and the strategies of China may be. But let's make no mistake, this is an army that is professional. They may not have the same kind of experience, anywhere close to the kind of experience that the Indian Army has in war fighting, but these are soldiers and officers who will stop at nothing to get the kind of experience they need to mount hostile actions against India. And I think that's the big takeaway from this, Gaurav.